So we have so far seen what are the various ways by which we can capture some critical information about a target and how to carry out vulnerability assessment of a particular target using Nessus. So how to launch an actual attack on that machine. That is what we are going to learn in this remaining time period, whatever we are having right now. So our main focus is going to be this and this: penetration testing on Metasploitable using Metasploit. Actually, these two concepts are same, combined together. Penetration testing on Metasploitable using Metasploit. Fine. So let's start with this. And if you're having your Metasploitable ready, obviously you have installed it. So let's begin with that attacking. Just make sure you have to keep your Metasploitable VM open. You can't close that, otherwise the attack won't be possible. So simply check whether it's running. Yeah, it's running. This is the VM I'm talking about. Now what we can do is, whatever is the IP address of the Metasploitable machine, in my case the IP address is this. Simply go to your Windows machine and type this IP address in any browser. In my case, let's open Chrome and let's type the IP address 192.168.0.159 if I'm not wrong. Press enter. You should see this. Again, I'm repeating, whatever is the IP address of your Metasploitable machine, you have to type that IP address in any browser on your Windows machine and check whether you're getting this or not. Kindly perform this, because now we are actually going to learn something very important. Apart from what we have done so far, we are actually going to launch a penetration testing on a host. So what we are doing over here is we are actually checking whether we have got the connection to that Metasploitable VM through our Windows machine or not. We can see that yes, we are in a position to open that VM through my local host, right? So let's begin our process. Let's begin the process of penetration testing. So what is the first step that we are going to follow? The very first step is going to be start the Kali Linux machine. Yes, over here, log into it. So you have to keep in mind that you have to keep two things open right now: Kali Linux and Metasploit. Fine. Open a terminal window. Now let me show you what exactly we are going to do. We are attacking on few of the ports. I will write the port numbers over here: port 21, 22, port 23. So basically these 5 ports are there that we are going to target. Right now we are going to start with port number 21, that is FTP. Okay, so I'm writing it over here, port number 21, that is FTP. So let's begin the actual penetration testing, because now we know that port 21 is open, and let's launch an attack through port 21. So how to do that? So the very first command is you have to go to your Kali machine, open the terminal, and type these commands along with me. Just check whether your machine is updated or not. So sudo apt update can do the trick, or else just type this command and check whether it's working or not. In case if it is not working, then we can update, because update will take some time. So the very first thing is simply type nbt scan. If you get some output, then it's okay. Kindly let me know if you're getting the output. So we are getting some output. It simply means that my machine has nbt scan installed on it. After we are done with nbt scan, what nbt scan does is, nbt scan will basically give you the statistics of all the devices connected to that network. So now my main task is to type this, that is nbt scan followed by -r and the IP address, that is the entire subnet, /24. Because now I am an attacker, I may have access to the network, but I may not have access to the exact computer which I want to target, right? So what I will do is I will run the nbt scan on the entire subnet. So when I enter, it will do some basic scanning and it will show some output which is of importance to me, and that output is this. What does this signify? It simply signifies that the target which I'm looking for is active and it is giving reply. Metasploitable, and also check the IP address. It is 0.159. So once we are done with this was the very first step. Now we need to go ahead and type something like this. Nmap minus P stands for the ports which we have already seen. But before that, let's do a quick scan. What I will do is I will run a scan. What is the scan? Kindly let me know. We have done this already. Exactly, the service or the version of that particular service. It's very simple. So if I select the IP address obviously needs to be changed. It is 159. If I press enter, we are simply running an nmap scan on that port. We have already done this in the past. So it's just to verify, and we are clubbing all the tools together in one particular place at one particular place. Okay. So we have already done the basics, and now we are clubbing them together. So nmap scan is done. These are the same things which we saw a few minutes back, the version. Clear? So now we will run something on nmap which we have not done so far. I'll show you what we are trying to do. As we discussed that we are focusing on port number 21 FTP. Why? Because if you see, port number 21 is open. So FTP should give some reply, and based on that, I will launch my attack. Okay, so right now I'm selecting this port number 21. So now we are going to make use of something called as an nmap script. Now what we are doing is we have finalized our port number. We have finalized our target. Now we are trying to find some vulnerabilities, if any, present on that target. So nmap has that ability as well. As you can see, nmap minus P21 is nothing but the port number, then hyphen script, followed by space, vulnerability view ln, followed by the IP address 159, and press enter. If there is any vulnerability, it should be highlighted over there. So now, if you see the output properly, there are vulnerabilities. So this was a Metasploitable framework machine. So there are actually vulnerabilities present in it. So as you can see, port 21, it is first of all open port, and the vulnerabilities are something like this. It is having a backdoor which is exploitable. So we can exploit this backdoor which is present on this machine. It's a really juicy information for an attacker. Attacker can simply fire an exploit this vulnerability by carefully planning an attack. Right? Similarly, we'll see if there are any more vulnerabilities. No, there are no vulnerabilities. And if you see, this vulnerability was reported way back in 2011. So you can get some information about this in the reference section as well. So as of now, we know that this FTP port number is vulnerable, which is running on the Metasploitable framework. Now let's go ahead. Now our task will begin, where we will actually exploit this vulnerability. And for that, we have a very specialized tool. So now we are going to use the tool called Metasploit. So if you see over here on the application section, you have a search bar and you have something called as exploitation tools. So under exploitation tools, there is a tool called Metasploit framework. You simply need to click on that. It will ask for your password. The password is same, Kali. It's a very handy tool. It is still used by attackers throughout the world. Let it begin, let it load, and then we will start with the actual exploitation. And so now we are having this tool using which we are to launch this attack. Now, kindly have a look what exactly I'm doing. You can search for the various commands available on Metasploit. I'm simply typing help, and once I entered, it will give me the various options present on Metasploit. There are multiple options, but now we are going to focus on only those exploits which we are interested in. Okay, so I will show you what exactly needs to be done one by one. I will share the PDFs also, don't worry. So we have to search for something. Let me clear this. We have to search for something, and we will search FTP. What I did is I simply entered search, typed search SEARCH space FTP. because I am launching an attack on FTP vulnerability, so I know that I have to launch an attack on FTP only. Clear? So I am narrowing down my search history, search result. I'm simply selecting FTP. Now what we need to do? If you remember, we saw something while searching for that vulnerability on the different terminal. We saw that there is something called as backdoor, right? We saw this, that there is a backdoor vulnerability on my FTP port number. So we have to search something called backdoor over here. It's a huge list, but we have to search for something called as backdoor. Kindly have a look where it is present. It will take some time because it's a huge thing. Okay, over here, we got it. You see, there is a vulnerability called FTP backdoor. So line numbers might differ, but you have to basically find VS FTPD 234 backdoor. That is what we are looking for. So this is the particular vulnerability which we are focusing on, that is backdoor vulnerability. Now what is the next step? Just make a note of the line number just in front of it. It is 437 in my case, right? Either you remember this number or you remember this particular vulnerability. So what I will do is I will copy this vulnerability or this exploit, copy this entire thing. In your Metasploit framework, you simply need to do this thing, that is, type along with me, use, and paste that exploit which you have copied just now. Use space the exploit name which you have copied just now and press enter. It should mention something like this. There are multiple steps. We have to follow each step carefully. So we are now going to launch an exploit using this particular payload. So this payload is nothing but, Metasploit framework is huge. They have multiple vulnerabilities. So if a vulnerability is present, they have a payload for that vulnerability. It keeps on updating with each iteration of Kali Linux. A new Metasploitable framework arises. So after every day, after every week, after every month, a new vulnerability might arise, and Metasploitable is updated along with that Metasploit, right? So now let's see what to do. The next step is something called as show. So we will see what are the various options in front of us using which we can launch an attack. You have to enter show options, SHOW options, and press enter. So you will be in a position to see something like this. Now, if we carefully look at the output, there are few things. For example, name, current setting, required, and description. So we have to focus on those which are required. That is, yes, that particular label or that particular row is important to us. So right now, our host or remote host and remote port, yes. But out of these, only remote port is set, but remote host is not set. So remote host is not set. So now what we will do is we will set the remote host IP address of whom? Victim, exactly, as host, because we are launching an attack on that particular host. Let me show you what are the available payloads. See, this is the payload that we are going to use. So using this payload, I am going to create a communication link between the attacker and the victim, that is Metasploitable. We'll do something called as set our hosts. Kindly follow me. Set our host space the IP address of that victim, that is 192.168.0.159 in my case, and press enter. If you see something like this as your output, it means our host is set. But we can verify that. We can simply verify again by showing the options. Means our work is done. We have created the path. We have actually created a tunnel through which we can launch an attack between the server and the client. So what you need to do is you need to copy this payload name, and next command is set payload space payload name and press enter. So the payload is set. Payload is a toolkit. Using that toolkit, you are going to launch an attack. Fine. So now we have to only do one thing, and that is what we call as exploit. The command name is exploit. Once I press enter, there will be an FTP connection between my machine and the attacker's machine. See this. See this banner 220 user 331 backdoor service has been spawned and found shell. What does it mean? See this command shell session 1 opened between 107, that is my Kali machine, to 159, that is my Metasploitable machine. Isn't it interesting? So now, is it complete? Attacker will try to verify whether the attack is actually completed, actually it is successful or not, right? So for that purpose, we can make use of some basic Linux commands. For example, who am I? See, who am I is the root user. Now see, let's check the IP address. If you see this, it's 159. What does it mean? It simply means I have gained a root access to that Metasploitable machine. Yes or no? I have got a root privilege terminal of that Linux machine, which is Metasploitable. I can run n number of Linux commands over here. For example, let me type ls. See, all the files are present. Now, if you remember, we had logged in using MSF console, sorry, MSF admin. So we can try to find it. So let's go and try to find it home. Now I'm inside home. If you see, I'm inside home right now, and we are having these directories in front of me: FTP, MSF admin, service, user, and whatnot. So if I go to the directory called MSF admin, now I am actually the user who is logged on to that MSF admin console. Clear? If you want to verify, check this. You can simply make use of mkdir command, and you can create a folder. For example, you can create a folder of your name. Now I will verify this. Okay. Now if you go over to the Metasploitable machine and type ls over there, see this. Can you see the folder over there? Let's see the reverse. Now let's create a directory over here, mkdir and xyz. Press enter. Now what should I do? Correct. We list the files in our Kali machine. Simple. Sorry. ls. C. xyz. Done. Clear. So this is how we use that. Not used. I would say exploited that vulnerability of that FTP port number 21 and found a backdoor entry to my Linux machine. It's really dangerous if it happens in real life. But at least now you have the basic understanding of how to do that.